Good morning, everybody. Today is November 28th. You are live with the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me. It's been a while since my last regularly Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Call with you all. So thanks for joining me. And if you do me a favor and type in where you are joining me from, and I want to hear your uh, great cyber, your great I'm going to be talking about Cyber Monday in a minute, but to hear your great Black Friday or Small Business Saturday success story yesterday results. So type that in where you're joining me in from and give me some of the information that you're doing. I know some of you are probably watching this on replay, and that's okay as well. But notice that I will always read all of your comments and respond, even if it's after the fact. So I want to hear the good stories and whether that was on Black Friday or on Small Business Saturday yesterday. Hey, John, glad to see you this morning. And Daniel, all the way down the 87 there in Poughkeepsie, thanks for joining me this morning. I know we have people around the world who are joining me live on not only LinkedIn, but Facebook and YouTube as well. Chris, thanks for joining me from all the way from Minnesota. Thanks for you didn't keep all of the snow. Thank you very much. Some of it made it through to upstate New York. So there you go. Katie, glad to see you all here as well. Hey, Heidi, glad you're here from North Carolina. So, and I will see you all as you jump in. Rachel, glad to see you there. One thing just to be aware of is that this is Black Friday. A lot of people see this as the bellwether for how the holidays are going to go. And the NRF is saying that they're expecting sales to go up 8 to 10% over last year. And that's even without allowing for inflation. So I think we should be in for the once in a generation holiday. But make no mistake, I can guarantee you that on Monday, the stories will be shoppers avoided malls. Somebody said that this is a bad for holiday. It's bad for small business. It's bad for a million reasons. Why do I know this? Because it sells papers or clicks on a web. And we've seen it for the last 30 some years. So brace yourselves. That's going to happen. And that's why it's so important that if a reporter comes to you during the holidays and asks how business is and you're dead, you do not go, yeah, there's no one here, because you'll be featured. And you know what? People want to go to stores that are what? Busy. That's right. You know that yourself, that when your store has no one in it, it's really hard to get that first person. But once you are slammed, that it's like they all come out of nowhere. Well, that's kind of the same thing when people see that on TV. So please do yourselves a favor, do your fellow merchants a favor, and just don't go to that place. Yeah, that might have been slow for whenever, whatever, but every year is a little different. Every shop is a little different. And your goal is to remember you're supposed to bring hope. That's why I wanted to come back on here and get you all thinking about that. In that same vein, you're probably playing holiday music. And just understand that holiday music isn't there for you, it's for your shoppers. So when you start off the day, "Ugh, Christmas music, I hate this." Just know that's the energy you're bringing into your space. And even if that's what you feel, it's probably better just not to say anything rather than to jump in, because then other people say it and then it's this song again, which I got to say, the whole the buy mommy's shoes because she's dying tonight was like my worst thing to hear. And it seemed like with the year that I was my last year in full-time retail, that must have come on like every 30 minutes. And you just have to put it out of your mind and you just go on to something else and realize that customers are where the party is. The party is in the aisles, not up on the radio station, and certainly not behind the counters. So there you go. Donna, glad to join me from the big island of Hawaii. Love that. Hey, Alex, glad you're all the way from Washington. Donna says they're in Alabama up 24% over last year, already surpassed your year end goal. And last year up 6%. Hey, we love to hear that, Donna. That's exactly what we are looking for. Now I think I can take that off. That's great. That's great. Um, who is this? This is Daniel. Wednesday was stronger, but Friday wasn't weak at all. Saturday was great. We're off to a great start today. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And finally, Donna from Massachusetts. Whoops. Yeah, from Massachusetts. Small Business Saturday was amazing, busy, busy until after closing. I love that after closing. Although, it's always tough. You can have somebody walk in at if your store closes at let's say 8 and somebody walks in at 7:59 and you want to say, get the hell out of here. But invariably that's when all your sales training comes in because you can make much bigger sales because they're there. And if I don't speak to you before Christmas Eve, just make sure that when you're down in that 4 o'clock hour on Christmas Eve, when guys typically buy because the malls close at 6 or wherever yours are going to be, when they start saying, "Well, I'll have to look around," it's perfectly all right to say, "Look at your watch. You have an hour before most stores close. Why don't you get X, and we'll come up with the amount of money, and then you can at least give it and still be a hero." But you're going to have to help people when you get closer to the holidays because Christmas is on a Saturday this year. We're not used to that. We're used to a Christmas on a weekday. And that also is not one of our favorites because people could still work on Christmas Eve and be required to come back to work on Monday. So it does throw a loop in things. So just be aware of that. All right. So I hope that helps. And again, if you're nothing else, you don't have the luxury of a negative thought. You're open, knock on wood. It's not last year. Oh, but there's another virus and there's the slipping shipping supply. I, I can't deal with all that. All that matters is your four walls. Okay, there you go. And Mike Gonzalez, we did our best Saturday ever with fewer customers than last year. Hey, that's like my dream. That is my dream report on a store. We did more business with fewer people. That meant you were able to take more time with them. They were able to be happier. They're going to rave about it. All of those things work so well, Mike. I love that. All righty. And if you haven't didn't participate in my community event, well, one of the things I talked about is the first email to make sure you get out is this Tuesday because you're going to act like all the big department stores and Amazon and these other ones because Cyber Monday is Monday, which used to really mean something. That was the day that all the employees who didn't have internet came to work on Monday, and then that's when they did all their shopping was while they were working. That's why it's called Cyber Monday. That's kind of lost all its meaning now, but as a marketing tool, it's still going to be out there. You don't want to get caught in that stuff because what the big boys also do is the big boys and big girls to be, the big brands go through and on Tuesday they say, "Oh, we've extended it a day." So you send out an email on Tuesday and you say, "Oh, Cyber Monday is kept on and you have closeouts of 70% off out today." And your goal is cherry pick all those things that might be something a little missing or you couldn't get vendor credit or something else and just put it out there for that day, and you can at least escape all of the other ones, but people will be curious what that is. So try that and you can let me know next week. How's that? Oh yeah, I know. I saw that, Heidi, on your social media, and more importantly, on in your store. You had great fun. I saw that all worked out. That's always the best. So I have a few questions for you today. I'll take a look through some of your. If you have a question, now is the time to answer it while I'm live because, well, I'm live and I have other questions to answer. By the way, if you do me a favor and give me a thumbs up, boy, I haven't had to do this in a few days. Give me a thumbs up, give me some hearts, whatever it is, applause on LinkedIn, because the algorithms need to see that you're engaged with me. Otherwise, they show it to fewer and fewer posts. In fact, it's pretty depressing. Organic posts are something like maybe 1% people of your followers are going to see it these days. So if you're wondering, come up with great content that answers your questions, which is kind of what I'm doing here, and then you can promote it to just show it to people who already like you, and you'll probably have to pay a little money for that. So there you go. All right, Brandon says, "What's the best way to respond when a guest breaks merchandise?" I don't know what you sell, but pretty much everything is just let me clean that up and try to be as gracious as possible. I don't think you can ever charge people with that. I don't think you want to make a big deal out of it. What would you do if that happened to a guest in your home? Would you say, "You'll have to pay for that"? If that happens again, you're out on your heels. I don't think we do it, and it's not easy. I get all that, and it depends. There's a million things. If it was I don't know, Waterford vase that was $5 million. Well, it should have been on display that it could have get bumped either, but I just think it's a non-issue. It's just what it is. You move on and go on. Sarah Hancock asks. Sarah asks, How do you respond when a customer says, "Oh, I can get that cheaper elsewhere?" I always say, "But you're here right now. Why don't you take it home?" Yeah, and then I just shut up. Why do you want to get into a match with this? More than likely, this person's not your customer. And they just want to play that banter game and they feel smarter. Oh, well, I can get it cheaper elsewhere. Some other times I might feel like saying, well, you know what? Like most things in life, you can get everything cheaper, but we have it here for you now, and I can gift wrap it. You can take it home and have it under the tree and check it off your list. There's a million ways you can get it, but I don't really want to get into, oh, where'd you see it? Let's get out your phone. Let's get all that stuff. I don't want to get there because it rarely have has it ever been a customer when I have been challenged with that. It's been someone that just kind of wants to play the game. Fair enough. All right, that's right, David. Price is not equal to value. I am with you, my friend. Of course, you're a Sales RX user, so of course you're brilliant. So there you go. Tony asks, hold on a second. We did do Sarah. Marilyn asks, sorry about that, Marilyn. Your tip about turning on the call button on Google My Business has been great. What other tips do you have for Google My Business that might help people to check us out? So, again, I think the one thing that most people don't realize about Google My Business is you could do a status update and you could put in there how many of something you have with the date and make it time relevant. So, if I don't know the Mandalorian, if you got the little baby Yoda, whatever it is, right? Uh, Bicycle pump, whatever it is that people are looking for, right? Put that in a status update, and then when people are looking for that exact item, you will show up because you've given them inventory and you've dated it and it's current. So that's the easiest thing that you can do. And if it was me, I would have someone doing that every day more than I'd be worrying about Facebook because Google is where 90% of search is going to start if you leave Amazon out. All right. So there's that. Uh, uh, Michelle says, we were just in the store. My son knows if you break it, you buy it. His reaction was priceless. I told him that was a very negative approach. It was a great discussion about customer service and the guiding values of a company. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? The woman comes in, she's got a big purse. She turns around suddenly and the item falls on the floor. It's terrible, but in the great scheme of things, will you be worrying about this in 3 months? Is this what's going to rack you up? If it is, then probably have something to deal with. More than likely it's not, and a truly great person just has to let go. And I know that's easier than me just saying it, but if you just let it go and move on, you're just gonna have a better day than trying to figure out exactly the right way to do it, right? All right, glad you're here, Sarah. Good, good, good. Loving my articles. Thanks for that, Ed. I appreciate that. Mike loves my Sunday morning lives. That's good. I just need to get him into a rant somewhere. So you have to get me going on a rant. Ask me a question I can go on a rant because I don't feel ranty. It's been too long, right? So Nancy, having our best year ever, already surpassed last year's sales. Small Business Saturday was insane. If it's any indication of our holiday sales, we're up 35%. I love it. And that's why you are the ones I like following because you're the ones that inspire me. I hear your stories and then try to amplify them and tell other people if they can do it, you can do it. That's really what it's about. Too many people, I think, sit around on a lot of these chat boards and discussion groups and gripe about how it sucks to be you. Oh, it sucks to be us because, and then just fill in the blank. I couldn't get this vendor to take something back. That darn vendor wouldn't return my call. My shipping guy, da, 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 da. Okay, if that's what you want to do. But the hard work is how do you get your mind in the right place every single day from now to the holidays? If that's going to be holiday music, if that's going to be rewarding yourself, whatever it's going to be, it's not going to get easier, kids. So, so giving into that, I just think is just a recipe for a rotten experience all the way around. And I've been in those stores where everything is horrible and everything is high drama, or they have those, those stupid signs that say, "You want it when?" with somebody laughing hysterically, and they put that right up by the cashier, like, "Aren't we funny?" And I'm like, "No, you don't get how really off-putting that is." It's like, who cares if you buy from us? Great, then you have a hobby. But if you want to be in a business, your goal is to make my day, not for me to make yours. All right. Well, Alex, since you're up so early, I'll answer your question. What are the top three POS reports I should look at after a great weekend? Just upgrade our POS. Yeah, well, I'm glad you upgraded it because it is such a nightmare. POS systems, I've worked on several right from the beginning, and they're like, and wait, it it'll chop bread, it'll do this, it'll do this, it'll do this, and you go over here and you do this, and then you're just like, okay, can I just have 3 reports? So the first thing I would set up is make sure it emails it to you. Nobody wants to go looking for the report. So whatever those are going to be. For me, I always look at, obviously, average number, what's your average transaction? That's the most important to me. Average number of items. And if I can drill down into the average number of items per employee, that's really great. If the bonus one is one that matches employee hours to their productivity, so how much did their sales per hour show up? And I think if you do those, it's really good. There's other people that do fancy ones with margin and other things, but a lot of times that's really hard to understand, especially if you have a manager. They don't know how to manage that. Whereas if I see Jane does 1.1 items and Tony does 8.1, then I know my money really is in Tony. I've got to spend more time with seeing what is it that that person does, and then I probably have to go through and work with that other person. I hope that helps. If this you like what I have to say, do me a favor, give me some thumbs up, give me some love, because I'm here on a Sunday morning only for you. This is a bonus. By the way, I'm on Friday. I am doing a marathon. It's crazy. I am flying to Dubai for a keynote on Tuesday, the 7th, and then flying home that night at 2 a.m. And so it's just crazy time. So there's a lot of stress and everything else. But you know what? We just have to say, I'm having fun in doing it, because there's always going to be that choice to say it sucks and all these other things. And I don't ever want that to be when I am a chance to talk about my passion for retail. All right. Sherry says, how would you promote small business purchasing a regular thing than a one-day event through the holiday season? Sherry, I think that uh, I just know that I think if you say shop local, I think I think there's a lot of you know messaging around that, and it's almost a shaming way that it can feel to customers, like, you should shop local. I tell the story a lot about going into a bookstore up by Albany, New York, and on the um, doors as you come in, it says, if you see a book here, buy it from us. That's Amazon. We're struggling, small business, local, you should shop local. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to buy anything from you. So I think the key is, if you really want me to purchase more than just on a single day, the point is you have to make it an experience so craveable, I have to come back. Not a, oh, I could, I have to. And that takes having raving fans, and that takes making sure that every customer walks out there saying, I had an exceptional experience. And yeah, it's a high bar, but you know what? You're in Sales RX. And that means every single one of those people that you framed something for, you should be calling a week later and saying, hey, how did you, send me a picture of it? What did it look like? How, if it was a gift, how did they like it? And they say, oh, I love it very much. And then you send them a link and ask them to go through and review it. To me, that's a much smarter way than saying shop local all the time. I hope that helps. My goal is only to help, not hurt. Robert, eat the steak at the JW Marriott in Dubai. Actually, amazingly, I'm at the Ritz Carlton in Dubai. So it's just kind of a crazy thing, because my passport ends in January, and now they've extended it. Anyone coming in, it has to go for 6 months after. So I'm actually driving up to Rhode Island, 6 hours north of me, to get my passport renewed while I'm there. Then I have to drive down to Newark, New Jersey, to where I'm flying out of, for a 4:45 COVID test, which could throw the whole thing off, right? And then it boards at 8, and then I'm in Frankfurt, and then I'm there, and the whole thing is just like a crazy amount of time to go somewhere. But you know what? Dubai is supposed to be one of the most exciting metropolitan cities around, and I'm really curious to see. So if anyone has tips about having been to Dubai, share them with me. I'll be taking you along at some of these amazing malls and places I'll be as well. And if you're in Dubai on Tuesday the 7th, I'll be keynoting at 11 a.m. their time, which is I think 2 in the morning my time. So there you go. Final question from Tony. I had an employee who missed a sale yesterday who really frustrated me. When I went up to her, I asked, do you remember what we talked about in the meeting last week? She said yes. I asked why she didn't do it. She just shrugged. What should I do? Well, Tony, I'm sure you hate to hear this, but that's on you. A lot of us go through, and without a foundation of how to sell underneath it, you go into tactics like one thing. It would be like, uh, like a giving baking tips for how to fold in the eggs to a baker when they don't even know what eggs are. They don't know where the eggs go or what the recipe is. We get so caught up like, well, I told you once, but if you don't have a foundation under it, there's nothing to build on, which is why Sales RX is still, we're on 4 continents and tens of thousands of people use it every day, every week to increase their sales for one simple reason. It gives you that foundation to then go up off of. An awful lot of businesses started and they got busy because they kind of were able to get by. But you know what? Unless you always want to be the one that sells the most, you don't want to be the one that sells the most. You want to train your crew to be the one that sells more than you, and you're the least. So if you pride yourself, I'm the bomb, that's not it. That's actually the weakness of an owner. The bomb is having a core foundation underneath them of how to engage a stranger, discover the shopper, and yeah, compare and contrast and make the sale and add on. And then when you have that and you give a little tip, then I think that conversation is appropriate. But until then, um, they are just going to shrug and look at you like, well, what do you want me to do? So I hope that helps. Car gift. Hi. Nice there. Cindy, you needed your inspiration today. Well, you know what? The inspiration I'm able to give you, but at the end of the day, we're about as successful as we make our minds up to be. It's really that simple. You look at almost anybody in retail, in business, and the moving from the, yeah, I should, to I'm going to do this, moving from the, I don't want to have that conversation, but I'm going to, moving from the, holy crap, this scares me, but I'm going to move forward with it. All of those things, those little choices you make is what determines your success. It's funny. I've been on an awful lot of podcasts lately, and people are like, oh, so how did you become the retail doctor? Like it's this thing that I suddenly became. It's like, that's 34 years of hard work to do things where I am giving more value than I'm getting, with the goal that I know in the future this is going to pay off, and here's why it's going to pay off. Well, you can't harvest that unless you've made these choices. So if you're struggling today, you feel like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. We're all overwhelmed. Sleeping aids have never been at a higher rate than they are right now. Why? Because there's just too much crap going on in the world. And worse, we just can't escape it. Worse, we actually go looking for it in these silly things and then get more depressed and worried about it, when we just got to find a way to mind what goes in here and what goes in here. Because if you do that, then what comes out of here is going to be a hell of a lot more positive and a lot less stress. If you agree with that, if you think that's good, then give me some thumbs up and tell me. If not, challenge me. That's fine too. I'm all right with that. I don't want to guilt my customers into shopping with me. Yeah, thank you very much, Terry. That's exactly it. I don't want to shame people into it. I want to make sure that people go through it, have a good time, and enjoy it. That's what matters. So, if that helped you today, if you got something out of today, you could type it in comments. Let me know what you got out of being with me for 22 minutes. Uh, it's always a great idea if you could do go lives to do it for 20 some minutes, because Facebook does like it. But I won't kid you. If you look at your insights, most of the time they drop off pretty high after just a few seconds, because people click it and then they move on. Well, you don't want them to do that. So try to find a way that you can give value every time you go on there. And you know what? Everyone's saying, oh, it's all about social selling and live streaming still. You know what the original social selling was? Yeah, we walked into a brick and mortar store, and then people waited on us and we bought it and we were all happier. And I think that's still where we're going. And if you like what I have to say, I hope you'll share it with people. Take some of these takeaways and to make your job better, but make sure you know that the choice muscle is the biggest thing that most of us let atrophy. We let we let someone else make that choice of how happy we're going to be that day. And then because they don't give it to us, we get despondent. And I'm here to tell you that if you can just find that and talk to yourself, if that's what it takes, or limit the noise, you're just going to be happier. And when you're happier, people are going to come to you. You're not going to have trouble finding employees so much. You're not going to have trouble motivating people, because we all want to be in the same game together. And that's why I appreciate you. I want to be in the game you're in, which is the game of brick and mortar retail. So thanks very much. You never know when I'll see you again, but it will definitely be soon. Thanks everybody for joining me. Bye.